Welcome, everybody, to the CBC Wizdumb Hour, number 155 for November 2nd, 2021. I'm Steve Witchell in New Orleans.
What's up? It's Tony B coming to you from New Jersey. What's happening?
October went by way too quick. Can we just start October again?
It's kind of crazy that it's November already. I
know.
see people putting Christmas decorations up, Christmas lights, there's Christmas stuff in stores. It's crazy.
It's that time.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for watching. If you're watching, and if you're watching or listening, that's the only way you'll know that I said that. But if you're watching live, it is 8 o'clock Eastern time, PM right now, 5 o'clock Pacific time. And feel free to comment. Let us know where you're from and say hello, and we will acknowledge you. If you're listening on the audio podcast, you know by now, hopefully. If not, you can watch this podcast on YouTube. Go to the Cover Band Central YouTube channel and hit subscribe. The link is in the description here of this broadcast here for anybody that's watching. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's where all the archives of these past shows have been and future shows will be. And if you're watching in the Cover Band Central group right now and you want to comment, make sure you click the link that lets StreamYard show your name. But definitely come in and say hello. And
otherwise you'll just be Facebook user, right?
Facebook user. That's it.
Yeah.
And aren't we all Facebook users except for Tony?
Yes, I say not all, but most.
Right. I got to turn the volume up here.
There's always a few in the bunch, Steve, you know?
Right.
Just don't want to do it. So what's happening?
Right.
What's going on? What's new and exciting in Steve?
There's some things. Keith is in Mobile. What's up, Keith? From the mailman.
Mailman.
He's sending in the mail.
Yeah.
Facebook user is in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a great show. Love it. Excellent. And we just got started and he already loves it. He or she.
Yeah. Just imagine what's going to be like in 5 minutes from now.
No. Crazy. I had a pretty cool weekend. I went out Saturday night to celebrate Halloween. I went out to the Quarter and went to see my friends in the band Rockbox. I got dressed up and I got up and I on stage. I played about 8 or 9 songs in a row.
What were you dressed up as?
I was dressed as Michael Myers from Halloween.
Okay.
One of my favorites, easy costume to wear. And I'm going to have to show you this thing that I did too.
Mechanic's jumpsuit and a mask. They ready to rock.
Yeah. The only problem with that costume is that mask is very hot.
Yeah. What tunes did you jam?
Gosh. Here I Go Again by Whitesnake. Living on a Prayer. And You Give Love a Bad Name by Bon Jovi. Pour Some Sugar on Me, Def Leppard. Walk This Way by Aerosmith. Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. Highway to Hell by AC/DC. And I can't remember the rest.
It's a pretty decent amount of tunes, though. Good selection. Yeah. Good variety right there.
Yeah, it was packed. Quarter, Halloween is always packed. And they were just... Robert, God bless him, he's is the bass player of that band, and he always lets me come up. But he just let me go. He's like, "You want to keep playing?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." I was having a great time. And he has a great, like he really works hard on his sound and his bass and stuff, and it's just a pleasure to play. Pork Tornadoes, the whole band is here. Says sup, my dudes.
Yeah, what's up, Tornadoes?
It's probably Mike Schulte, but we love the Pork Tornadoes. They're one of the best out there. Check them out if you have not already. Marianne's here. Says, hey, guys. She's in Ireland. But so, yeah, I had a great time going out. It's only the second time I've really been out since my COVID experience. And, it was cool. Got to hang out with some friends and stuff.
So that's only the second time you've been out, but the first time you were out was when you gigged, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And how you feeling? Good? Ready to go?
I feel pretty good. I'm a little off right now because I've been having like some sort of nerve damage or something in my lower back, and it's very, very painful, and it's hard to sleep. So I was up like today's Tuesday, yesterday was Monday. I slept good, really good Sunday night. And then was up Monday all day and working on stuff, and then I just could not go to sleep. So I was up until this morning, probably until about 11 a.m. this morning was when I finally got to sleep.
Wow.
So I'm my schedule is all wacky. So I'm gonna have to, after this show, I'm gonna watch the rest of the World Series and I'm gonna go to sleep and see if I can get back into a normal thing. Greg's in SoCal. He's here every week.
Yep. What's up?
Facebook user asked me how I'm feeling and if I'm wearing a mask in public and on stage. I'm feeling very good, but I'm definitely wearing a mask in public if I go out to the store and stuff like that. But on stage, I had a Halloween mask on. I did not have a medical mask on, so I don't know if that counts.
You didn't put one over the Michael Myers mask?
No, but that would have been funny. I
That
should have
would've
thought of
worked.
that.
Yeah, that would have been good.
I should have thought of that. And so the thing I've been working on, and I meant to tell you this before the show, but we didn't have time. But did I tell you about the Reels thing last week?
No.
Okay. Being a cover band central is a big deal, apparently, in the Facebook world. They invited me to do this program with Reels. Reels are short video clips. They're kind of like the TikTok videos. You familiar with TikTok?
Yep.
Okay. And Reels started kind of on Instagram, and now they're on Facebook. And Facebook invited me to do this thing for 30 days. And there's a monetary reward for views based on amounts of views. So I started doing them last week on Thursday, I'd say. I started doing them. And I got to show you a couple of them. And I'm going to see if I can get those up.
Let's see what you got.
Says thank you, Steve and Tony. So I'm gonna say I don't know if I can get this with the audio. So I gotta see if I can do this with the audio and these are I'm only gonna show you a couple. I've done about 10 of them, and it's an opportunity really to be creative, I would say. So all right. So I'm getting some ideas here.
What's that? Paul just said we didn't get any call to help. You're right on that, Paul. Thank you.
So I'm going to show you, and let me make sure. I believe you'll be able to hear this. Hey, look at this. This is like an alternate universe.
Look at that. It's like
watch ourselves.
Alternate universe.
All right. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to have to scroll back here. Sorry, this is going to take a minute or two.
Or 5.
Yeah. This is my buddy Neil, who passed away a couple years ago. Was his birthday today. Neil Casal from Chris Robinson Brotherhood, and I should have done this before I went and shared the screen. All right, hang on.
See that now? The good-looking guy's back on to satisfy the audience while Steve scrolls through, searching for the elusive reels. Hey now.
I wish there was a way on the desktop to just access the reels, but there isn't. Facebook needs to kind of get
and there
things
you have
together.
It, dude. Present that as part of your reel. Got this great idea.
Well, Facebook needs to be consistent with.
Don't we all need to be consistent, Steve?
Yes, but the way it operates on the app and the way it operates on desktop, they're not the same, and they really should be. Should be exactly the same.
Exactly, man.
Somebody get Zuckerberg on the phone.
Consistency, man. It's what we all strive for in life.
Yes. All right. So I have to see. I'm doing so many. I'm doing so many posts a day that it takes a minute for me to scroll all the way.
Thousands.
Back. Well, not thousands, but I'm doing like 24, 25 posts a day.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. It's a lot of work to really kind of put it all together. But all right. So it should be coming up here. All right. So this is from Halloween Eve.
Okay.
And this is the reel that I did. And it is really kind of very silly, but I'm going to show you because you like silly and I like silly, I think.
I like silly stuff.
All right, here you go. This is as silly as it gets. What do you think?
Good stuff.
Okay, that's
Silly
fun.
stuff.
That's from Halloween. And then the one I did today is not silly, but it is helpful, hopefully, to musicians. So here we go. I'm gonna have to wait. See if I could start this from the beginning. Okay, here we go. And you'll appreciate this, I think, Tony. Because I put a lot of work into this. It took a long time for me to put this together, and it's 21 seconds long. But here you go. To count in Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll. The drums. All right, let's start again. Here's the proper way to count in Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll. The drums come in on the and of 3, and the band comes in on the 1. Pay attention up here because it goes by quick.
Excellent, Steve. I do appreciate that. However, the band comes in on the E of 1.
No, it's right on the 1. Did you see the little metronome?
It is, but if you listen to the record,
that's the record.
His downbeat of the kick drum, there's no guitar. There's nothing with him. The last phrase, he goes da 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 boom boom right. Boom. It's on the upbeat. Down.
All right, let's listen again. Here's the proper way to count in Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll.
Just listen for the 1. Listen if you hear kick drum by itself.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Just listen on the downbeat of the 1 when the song starts. See if you just hear the kick drum and then the guitar's on the upbeat.
Comes in on the 1. Pay attention up here because it goes by quick. See, I'm hearing the bass right on the 1.
Yes, bass is on the 1, boom, but guitar's on the upbeat.
Okay.
I only know that because every band I've ever played in, everyone tries to anticipate that thing and come in on the 1. Because once the great part about that is when you watch it on the screen, and great job dissecting that. But when you count it in that way, as soon as you start getting into the rhythm, a lot of guys just get lost as to where'd you start again. Like they think you started, like you said, in a different spot than on the,
Right. It's very, it's very tricky because when people listen to that song, they think that Bonham is coming in on a downbeat, but it's actually on the upbeat. It's the 3 and the and of 3. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and.
When you hear it with the click in the background, you hear the old kind of Johnny B. Good shuffle that he's playing.
Right, exactly. That's what he kind of got it from.
Yeah.
So those are the little things that I've been doing. These little reels. And
you have to do 1 a day?
I don't have to do anything in particular. I could do 10 a day if I want.
Okay.
Or I could do none. I mean, it depends. I mean, how successful I am with this will depend on how many I do and how well they do. So I've been kind of studying up on reels. Reels are more like an Instagram, TikTok kind of thing, kind of more of a young person's game. So I sat last night when I wasn't able to sleep, and I was just watching reels for like a couple of hours, and they're really, they're good. There's people that are doing really well with them, but it's a different way of making media than I'm used to. So I'm still kind of learning it, but I'm gonna have fun doing it anyway.
That's the key, man. Have fun doing it.
Facebook user.
Too cute. Nice.
And Steven said, hey, Steve saw the video of Rockbox. He's covering for Sunny. Wear the mask again. Yeah, for Christmas.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll come in as Santa Claus. How about that?
Come in as Michael Claus.
Right. Yeah, we could do that. All right, so that's what I've been doing, and I've been just really kind of working on CBC. I have everything scheduled for Cover Band Central through Sunday right now. So I feel like I'm ahead of the game. I can just work on that and finishing up my editing of the book. And I'm going to be doing a club, a Carbon Central Club exclusive private membership group on Facebook. I've done something like this before, but this is going to be more of an intensive into the topics in the book. We'll cover one chapter per week. I'll come in and do a live. So that's something I'm going to be releasing or launching hopefully next week, provided I get everything done this week for that. So I have other things. I got to go to the doctor tomorrow and other things to do, but hopefully I can get all this done. That's my goal anyway. And then next week I have to go do the sleep study thing. I have to actually go into the place and sleep overnight and monitor
hook you up to the machines.
Yeah.
Hopefully your back is better by then, so you can actually sleep, you know?
I hope so too. It might just be the chair I'm sitting in that's kind of causing me a little crick there, or my bed. I need a new bed. Sandy Long is in South Georgia, I guess that is.
Yeah.
She's a singer. Welcome, Sandy, to the show.
Hey,
thanks
Sandy
for hanging out. So how about you? How was your Halloween weekend? I saw pictures of you and your wife. You went to some roundabout thingamabob.
I went to a couple things. So Friday night I had a gig. I played out outdoors at the Blue Arrow Farm, like trunk or treat, which ended up getting canceled because the weather was, it was calling for like torrential rains and it was going to be like disaster. So when we got there, I thought for certain we would be inside, but they were set up for a wedding the next day inside the big barns. They're like, you're outside in the pavilion. So they had all kinds of heaters lit and, it was chilly, right? But, sound guy, PA, got there early, had plenty of time to set up. It was nice. We set up, we played, good turnout. Like I said, a little chilly, but it was good night, all in all. Great sound, it sounded really good. And then Saturday, what did I do Saturday? I don't recall, but Sunday, Karen and I went out gallivanting. Went to the Octagon House out in
the
Terrytown.
Octagon House. That's right.
Yeah, it's an octagonal house because when you have a house with 8 sides to it, as opposed to 4, like a rectangle or a square, you get that much percentage more of natural light in because you have a panorama of sunlight from all areas. But then once you break it up into rooms, you have some rooms which are triangular because of just the layout. If you put square rooms inside, you know what I mean? But very cool. And then it was the original house was an octagon. Then the guy who then, the second owner then built a giant porch around the outside, cantilever roof, and put a second floor on it with like an observatory. And that's like the dome on the top. So it used to be like a single story octagon. And then they made it into this giant octagon house, but very cool, really cool inside, like a lot of old stuff. The most interesting thing about it was that everything in the house was super ornate. Like all the doorknobs were like stamped brass with like medallions or flowers on them. And then each room had like theme. One room was like an Egyptian room. So they had like everything was like from Egypt, Egyptian marble and all kinds of hieroglyphs and stuff. And, they used to have these mummy opening parties there, amongst the wealthy people, like back in the 1800s. But and then archaeologists got wind of it and were like, you can't be doing that.
Can't be opening mummies here.
Yeah. And then on the way back, we stopped at this other place, the Hermitage, was on the way home. That place was built in 1752 and George Washington stayed there. And it was pretty cool.
That sounds familiar. It feels like I've been
there. It's in Bergen County. It's in Hohokus. So it's like right on Franklin Turnpike.
Okay. Because Terrytown, I've been to.
That's where the Octagon House was.
Yeah, that's my grandmother used to live there. So I used to go there.
Very cool. A lot of historic, big, grand summer homes, as they called them, along the Hudson River. All up and down the valley there.
Right. That's Sleepy Hollow territory.
That is. Yep.
The legend of.
Yes, indeed.
So
yeah, I made some rounds, went out, had some fun.
Cool.
And then that was it.
Very cool. All right. So let's get to today's topic. I put up a post earlier in the group and asked this question, and a lot of people answered, and I have not seen them yet. So we're going to take a look at them together. But the question is very simple. What is your biggest challenge as a musician in a working band? And lots of answers here. So you want
Sure
to
thing.
just dive right in? What do you think?
Yeah, just dive right in.
Let's dive right into the answers. Okay. So we're going to show it on the screen.
So biggest challenges you face playing in a working cover band.
Playing in a working, yeah, I didn't say cover band, but that should be understood. It's cover band
Yeah.
central after all.
Come on now, right?
All right, yeah. All right, so here we go. Let's take a look. What do you think of my profile picture, by the way? Check that out, huh?
Yeah, wow, that's pretty cool.
Looks nothing like me. All right, so biggest challenge as a musician or working band. Greg Jones says remembering all the tunes for the bands I play in, and that's something that I've experienced in the past, when I was playing in more than one band. There was a time when I was playing in like 5 bands or 4 maybe. And but I don't know. Remembering songs for me has never been that much of a challenge. But Justin Bryant came on board and said he has a secret weapon that he'll send. So that's one CBC member helping out another. We like that.
But that does make sense too, though, Steve, because I remember back, at times when I was playing in 3 or 4 or 5 different bands, and they were such different genres that the songs didn't. It wasn't like you played in 2 or 3 cover bands and it was the same 100 songs all mishmash between them. Like there were different genres of bands. So one band was a metal band, one band was like a rockabilly band, one band was like all over the place, like old blues and so to your point, playing the gigs, as long as it was the bands were kind of segregated that way, so the songs, as long as we played them in rotation, it was easy to remember them.
Right. Jay Droback said food. So I don't understand how food is a challenge, but
maybe he's hungry while he's playing.
Chris Bruce said decent pay, and that has been a challenge for a very long time for people. Keep it. Mike Folk just said keep it working, to keep the band working, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And that's definitely a challenge. Obviously, it's been a challenge over the last year and a half with COVID and all that stuff. But to keep the band working, active, gigging, certainly a challenge for many people. Tim Carlson said teaching the singer how to count to 4. That's the drummer's job, right?
That's right.
Teach the singer how to count.
Yeah.
Bandmates, Mark Marshall Sr. said, definitely getting along with other people in the band is a challenge for a lot of people, because it's like a dysfunctional family many times, and you have different personalities that sometimes clash.
Yep. Egos.
Yep. Jared Huggins said getting everyone together and finding enough good paying gigs. Getting everyone together is another one, especially as adults, when we have full-time jobs and family obligations. And, hey, can we get together Monday? No, I can't do Monday. Well, how about Tuesday? No, I can't do Tuesday. And then.
So what I'd say to that is you pick 2 nights a month that you lock into, and then you make it a commitment to do it. Because if you don't have an agenda and you don't, that's a whole nother subject, but we've talked about in the past. I think it was episode 82. We talked about practicing and having an agenda and being productive and efficient when you want to get stuff done. So I think if you map out the days ahead of time, like I know that I'm not rehearsing this week, but I'm rehearsing next week and the week after, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And then I have gigs the week after that, and back to back. So I know, I get it, because everyone's busy and it's super hectic, and but if you commit to it, like we pick our days of the month around Jimmy's travel schedule, because he'll be driving and traveling. So there'll be weeks when he's not in this part of the country. He might be upstate New York, like out by Rochester or something.
Okay.
But that seems to work. If you commit to it ahead of time, if you map it out and look ahead and say, hey, I can, can we do these dates, and start there, that can be helpful. Than trying to corral everybody like, hey, what about next week? Everyone sits down and says, let's try to map out what days this month are you available to do it.
Right. And generally, you want to have people be enthusiastic about that too, and that
Yeah.
helps to kind of get everything together. Facebook user is a drummer and says his challenges would be getting to the gig first, setting up first, claiming his spot on stage, so everybody else can work around him.
Yep.
And you as a drummer, I'm sure, can relate.
Always get there first. First to arrive, last to leave.
Randy Pender said unrealistic bar owners followed closely by unrealistic bar managers. He would have to elaborate on that. What does he mean by unrealistic? I'm assuming he means that bar owners are expecting a certain amount of people to be in attendance, and Randy is saying that that's not realistic, that what they expect.
Sounds like a good kind of interpretation of that.
That's what I'm thinking. Robert Fattori says he'll need to write a book about it. And people, Bill Buck said diva management. I can relate to that. James Bruno said, with 7 people trying to find dates, we're all available for either a gig or practice, which we just kind of talked about.
Yeah.
7 people in a band, that's tough. And Chris Reed says they have 10 in their band. So that's a big challenge there.
That's heavy scheduling for sure.
Yeah. I mean, this is just general. Carl Hartman says keeping a band together is by far the hardest. So
yeah.
People leave, come and go. It's tough. Chris Reed has also said his memory is a challenge. This is one that comes up a lot. Lori Ganji, I'm going to say, says getting venue owners to respond and or follow through. That's definitely a challenge for people.
Mm-hmm.
And she also said having band members in multiple bands, but only 2 people book gigs. Yeah, it's tough with venue owners, especially nowadays, because the only way you're going to really be communicating is by phone or email, and as opposed to just going to the club and talking to somebody. So if somebody doesn't respond to an email, what do? Nothing you can do.
No, because it used to be if you went to the club and caught the guy that was there on that day and he had his book, then you could sit with him and say, "Hey, give me like the next 4 months, every 6 weeks. Let's get some dates on the book,"
Yes.
And you have him cornered down where like when he's not there here right now, or he can't come to the phone, or he's there, but he doesn't have his book with him, or he's too busy to talk to you right now. There you go. Booking.
Right.
It is, man. That is the toughest part. It really is.
Yeah, booking gigs. And once you get a rapport, especially with certain club owners,
Yeah.
then you're in better shape. And once you prove yourself to that band or to that venue, then they're going to be happy to get out the book. And usually a good time to do that, when in my experience anyway, has been the end of the night, when if you're getting paid there in cash or check or whatever by the manager or the club owner, then that's the time when you're done. And especially if you had a good night, you just say, hey, can we lock in, January? Can we lock in the next few months?
Right.
And if you've done well, they'll be very happy to accommodate you. So that's a good time, really, right after the gig. When you're done, if you've done well, hopefully you're not drunk.
Yeah.
If you're
And
the band
providing
leader.
that the guy that books the band is there.
Yes.
Because sometimes that's Roy, the manager, and he's only in on Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Right.
Type of thing.
Yeah. And if you're the band leader and you have to take care of business, I mean, I'm sure most people know this, but a lot of people drink at gigs. But if you're the band leader, end of the night, you definitely don't want to be drunk and going into, the office.
Yeah, to talk business.
To talk business and being like, blah, blah, blah.
This place is great, man. That's where again.
Like, did you see that chick? She took her shirt off.
That chick was my sister.
Right? That's my daughter.
You're like,
get out of here.
Cool.
Pack your shit and get out. Okay.
Beat
it, pal. That's a really good one. Antonio Garza said, playing music I didn't like or believe in. That's a challenge. That's a challenge for people. It's never been a challenge for me, because I approach, even if it's a song I don't listen to normally, I'll approach it playing it differently. And sometimes I'll find that it's fun to play a song that I didn't normally listen to. because it's a different perspective. Have you had that experience
Well,
where you have to?
I'm having that experience right now of having to learn a whole bunch of songs that I didn't listen to,
Right.
72 of them to be exact.
Oh my
And
goodness.
yeah, that, for the OC5, but it was good though. I learned a bunch of tunes that some of them I knew I had heard before, and wouldn't turn the channel if I heard it on the radio. I'd listen to it. But
Right.
for the most part, a lot of the tunes that they played, I had never heard before. So that was the challenge to learn them because you're learning them cold. Some of them were like cold learner, like never heard that song before ever. But
That's tough.
as far as playing music that you don't like though, yeah, I mean, I guess if you were in a cover band and they had a lot of selections that were just bands you didn't like or you didn't like the songs for some reason, it might be a struggle to get through. But I mean, usually in the cover band, you're playing such a diverse selection of music. Maybe, stuff gets old, like American Girl, I've probably played it 1,000 times, not even exaggerating that, like it just played to death. But every time I play it, like you were saying, I try to bring a new perspective to it to be like, hey, you know, if I'm bored and playing the song, it's gonna come across like I'm bored and playing the song. If I'm excited about it and I'm into it, I'm laying down a good groove and I'm pushing and driving the band, that's my job, then everyone's gonna have a good time. So
There you go.
even the 1001, you know, rendition of it will still be just as good as the first 10.
Right. That's the way to go. Jimmy Thunder said he'll play any song, even Mustang Sally, if
Yep,
somebody asks for it.
sure.
Um, I've never had a problem playing Mustang Sally. It's actually fun to
No,
play.
me neither.
It's fun for me. Okay. Lack of virtuosity. Virtuosity.
Okay.
Okay. Perry Bean. It's an interesting name. Gary said getting gigs, scheduling gigs, said Mark. Blah, blah, blah. He said he hates booking. Takes a bit out of the fun for him, but everything else is great after 50 years. There's no other challenges anymore. I guess that's his job, but he doesn't like doing it. Because I'd say if there's something in your band that you don't like doing, let somebody else do it. Unless you're the only one that will do it.
And like you said too, once you have like a half a dozen to a dozen places that you're regularly playing and you have a rapport with the owners, I mean, it becomes a lot easier. Like I know that with this band, the one guy in the band books it, but he's friends with all the places that they play. And they probably play like a dozen different places, and all these places are calling him to be like, hey, I'm doing the schedule for next year. Give me a call so I can get you in, on this. And the other thing, like you said, Steve, is when you have a rapport like that, you're the first call when they have a cancellation. Hey, sorry, can you guys play
Right.
tomorrow? Can you play Saturday? I have a cancellation. Can you play this afternoon? Like that sort of thing. You know,
Right.
when they start
I
running
actually,
down the list. So that's a good thing to think about too. When you do well by the place and you build, you can't just show up to a gig, play, and leave. You know what I mean? You want to commiserate with the people. You want to meet the staff. You want to get to know you. You want to talk to them, especially if your band does really well there and they remember you. Then they approach you and say, "Oh man, your band was great last time you played here, and we all couldn't wait for you to come back again." And the owner's going to be here that day because he wants to be here. He wants to work on a day when you guys are going to be here, and that sort of thing. And there's like a camaraderie and a friendship that becomes of that. And it's not so. Those are the places that are harder to find. But for some reason, like I said, with this band I'm playing in now, it's like all the places they play are like that. Like they're like family friendly type of venues where it's not like, oh, you only brought 20 people, you know? Like
right.
it doesn't matter if you brought 20 or 500, you know what I mean? They would still, give you the same money and they would still get the same appreciation and it would still be the same, next time we'll see, next time. It wouldn't be, there's no pressures. So I can understand what that one guy was saying about some places you play. It's like, oh, you gotta, like there's there's a few places that by me that will remain unnamed that are the same thing. Like the first thing is like, how many people are you bringing? And we only pay this much for if you only bring this many people, and you have to guarantee me this many people. And if you don't bring them, there's a penalty. It's like, dude, thanks, man. Have a good day.
Yeah.
We'll catch you the next catch you next time when some other band's playing here and we come to visit. But we're
We've
definitely
all
not
been through
playing there.
that.
It's craziness.
Yeah. One of the challenges, I don't know if it's coming up, but that I have faced with in many circumstances in bands is the volume of the band.
You just stole my answer, Steve.
You're too. You play one song or two song, and the manager comes up like,
Yeah, way
God,
too
turn
loud.
down, turn down,
Yeah,
turn down.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's happened to me more times than I can count. Jiminy Crickets. So it must be past 4 times.
It must be.
But I'm sure everybody goes through that. Especially if it's you got a dinner audience or something. Like, you got to keep it down.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to play like for me, and if you're the drummer in the band, you might have to play with like bundle sticks or some sort of like non-stick apparatus to lower the volume.
Right,
Because sometimes you play even with the small stick in your bag and the lightest touch, and you're still trying to keep the intensity and drive the band. It's just impossible.
right,
Where you can grab a bundle stick and you can still play at like 3/4 intensity and
right,
at like a third of the volume. There's just
right.
some places, like you said, there's the way the rooms are. The band hasn't even played a note yet, and it's like, holy cow, man, this is going to be really loud. You know,
Yes.
but
And
the one thing is you want their vocals to be loud though, because 9 times
absolutely.
out of 10 the band drowns out the vocal.
Right. And along those lines here, Keith Venitelli says running sound at the same time
Hmm.
for almost 29 years now in the same band. So 29 years, hopefully you got it down to a
Yeah, he's probably pretty good
science.
at it by this point.
But yeah, that happens quite often if you're playing in a bar band, pub band, where
Yep.
you're bringing your own PA. You don't have a sound man. You're doing your sound. You're doing your own sound. You got to go out front and listen to it and see how it sounds and tweak it as you go. Kevin Mercer said bandmates who aren't all on the same page. That's tough too. If you have a band leader, which every band should, but some bands don't, believe it or not. Some bands don't have somebody who has the final say. And that's a big mess if you don't. And if you have this situation like Kevin has, when band members aren't all on the same page, then decisions don't get made. Things fall by the wayside, or you just you stall because not everybody's going to like everything. Not everybody's going to agree. So somebody
Right.
has to make the final decision, say, this is the way it is. We're playing this venue, or we're doing this song. We're doing it. Oh, I
Right.
don't like that song. Too bad. We're doing it. Somebody has to be the heavy.
The heavy. Well,
Right.
you know what? I'm not doing that song, Steve.
Right. I'm not playing Mustang Sally.
Right.
But I would play. Scott Sanderson said flaky people, which could mean a lot of things.
Could be.
And kind of along the same lines, Jonathan Edwards said motivating the rest of the lazy band.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis, who is an excellent drummer, one of the best around here anyway, he said getting equipment in and out, especially in hotel ballrooms. Dennis is somebody I've worked with, excellent drummer, and he plays in a wedding band, or a band that plays weddings and festivals and things like that. And he also plays in the Iron Maiden tribute band, which I saw a couple weeks ago. And yeah, and he's drummer. He's got the most gear.
I can relate.
That's a challenge. Jimmy Thompson said finding good songs everyone else isn't playing. And I see this is a topic that comes up all the time. And it doesn't always matter. Like, because you're in the whatever venue you're in, you're playing to the crowd that's there. Who cares what Joe other band is playing down the street or across town? It doesn't matter if they're playing the same song. They're not here. You're here. And these people are here. Play to those people. If they want to hear Jesse's Girl, play to these people. Play Jesse's Girl. So what if everybody else in town is playing it? Doesn't matter. Are these people here? Are they having fun? Are they dancing? Are they drinking? Do they like a band? That's all that matters. That's it.
That's it. Here and now.
That's right. Here and now.
Not
Just
down
like
the
Luther
street.
Vandross. Facebook user, these people that are commenting it where it says Facebook user are in the Cover Band Central group, and you can click on the link in the description there that lets stream you or show your name so we know who you are. But anyway, Facebook user said, what about selling band promos, selling of t-shirts and or CDs at the gigs? Is this a problem? Who gets the cash? Again, kind of a leadership issue? Who's running the show? Who's in
Depends
charge?
how the band is set up too, you know? If it's equal and there's 5 people in the band and everyone split the cost of the T-shirts 5 ways, then, the profit gets split 5 ways. If one guy's, in charge of merch and he's laying out all the money and he's designing it and getting them made and he's selling them at the show, then, why would he be sharing that money with the band if he's doing it all himself,
Right.
you know?
Right. Agreed. Jimmy Thunder said he played a multi-band gig and he heard Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers 4 times in the same day.
Mhm.
Probably by 4 different bands, unless some band played it twice,
Right.
which is possible. Or
Potentially.
maybe some band played it 3 times and
Maybe the room changed over a couple of times and they just played the same set.
maybe it's
Could
possible.
be. Anything's possible, Steve.
That is true. Robert Heindel, he said what to do on his off days when everyone is at work. And Robert plays in a band called Chicken on the Bone down here in New Orleans, and they keep busy. Robert is a go-getter. He's a hard worker. They when COVID hit, he just figured, all right, let's book places that are not closed. So they've been traveling to Texas, to Mississippi to do their thing. That they are
Right.
one of the harder working bands down here, and they're very good. Garage Mahalix said scheduling practice. Todd Shelley doesn't like to drive. Said driving. Not a fan anymore. Sometimes driving is a thing you got to do. Sometimes long distances. Volume control, Mark said we touched on that. Chris Scroggin said remembering new song lyrics. He's still fighting using a tablet for lyrics, but it's coming soon. And that discussion, we've talked about it before.
Yeah, that's right up
That
there with
discussion,
cargo shorts and sandals.
yeah, comes up. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but you definitely do want to learn the words to the songs, so you don't have to read them. Grace and Blair. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think it's harder to read lyrics off of a tablet than to have them memorized. I mean, I can understand having to do it, but I know for myself, like when I'm learning a new song and I have to read it a couple of times, it's hard. Once I have it committed to memory, it's much easier to sing and play.
I agree. I've had to do both, and I agree with that statement. I've had to, because I do find myself if
That's right.
Yeah, if I'm reading, then I'm not focused on what my performance and the crowd and all that, and that's
Right. Once you have it memorized, you can really commingle the two, right? You can focus on playing an instrument and you can also focus on how you're singing it and your phrasing and you can really pay attention because you're not reading what the next line is.
right. Grace and Blair said dealing with hearing loss. Many of us at this age definitely have that issue. And earplugs are the way to go, or in-ear monitors, so you can adjust your volume
In-ears
accordingly. They are. John Simmers said aging, loss of strength and coordination. I'm feeling you on the aging thing, John. I was saying before, I got a pain, like a nerve pain in my leg or something. I don't know what's going on. I'm just like a machine that's falling apart.
Wear and tear on the old machinery here.
I'm driving around a 73 Chevy with rust on the.
There you go.
All over. Danny Lynch song choices. Tony and I have talked about this a lot. And I think we should revisit this sometime soon too. Song choices. I think it's really the number one thing that makes or breaks your band.
I got some great input on that too.
You want to share?
Well, if you'd like to take up some time now, sure, why not?
Sure,
So,
go ahead.
When I first joined the OC5 a year ago, right? And we played.
Was it only a year ago? Wow. Okay.
It was the first gig I played with them was August of 2020.
It feels like
right after COVID. Well, I had joined earlier on, but then as soon as COVID hit, everything kind of went on hold. And then once COVID started clearing out and they had these gigs booked, then he was like, dude, we got to pick it up. And it gave me plenty of time to learn the songs, which was great. But in the beginning, you and I were going through the set list and we were kind of
Yes.
chuckling about the songs that they pick. Like, what are you kidding me? Like, what cover band would play that song? And that's
Yes.
ridiculous. Like that, this song is ridiculous too. Like, what are these guys thinking? Like, with all this nonsense, And I got to tell
Yes.
you, so now that I've probably played 20 gigs with them, every single gig, and I kid you not, dude. God's my witness. Every single gig, at least 2 to 3 to 4 people come up to me or the other guy in the band, but personally, and will say, "I can't believe you guys played those songs. I've never heard a band play that song. You guys have the best set list out of any band. We're definitely coming back to see you guys again. When's the next time you're playing?" Like, the band is really good, but the songs that they play are songs that everybody knows, but that no cover bands play, that are great, really good songs. And in the beginning, when I was first saw it, I'm like, this is definitely not the standard cover band fare. You know what I mean? Like, they might play Petty, but they'll play like "You Wreck Me," or
Right.
and they do Steely Dan. "Don't
Right.
Take Me Alive," Kid Charlemagne. Like, I've never seen cover band do that song, either one of
Right.
those songs. And so that was interesting to me in the beginning. You know that "I'll Be There" by the Spinners. Like they're such an eclectic mix of songs, but this is one thing I can attest to, is that the people go absolutely crazy over that set list. And I'll bring us a couple of set lists for next time when we're talking and run
Okay.
through the songs. But it was just interesting to me because they don't play any standard cover band fare. Zero. Not one song on their set list
So
is a
no, don't
song.
stop believing.
No Stop Believing. Nope.
Don't no. Wow.
Nope.
Okay.
Like, name a
No.
couple songs. Name a few, and I'll tell you. Like,
Sweet
yes or
Home
no.
Alabama.
Nope.
Uh, Summer of '69.
Nope. But we'll do "Run to You."
Ah, that's a great song. It's my favorite
Mhm.
Brian Adams song.
Yep.
Um. Yeah. I think he
You know what I
pretty
mean? You'll
much.
pick it like just like that. You'll come up with an artist and be like, "Oh, what about this?" And you'd be like, "No, but we do that."
Right.
Like they'll do certain songs by, certain bands that are not the normal song that you would hear done by that band.
Right.
And at least once every gig, somebody comes up, like, hands in the air, like, "Oh my god," with their phone recording, you know what I mean? And just the whole song, dancing and watching it, and at the break, come up to you and be like, "I can't that's my favorite song. I can't believe you guys play that song." Nobody plays that song,
Hmm.
you know? So
That's cool.
that's really cool. So I will.
That is something that people are proud of, and as you should be.
Yeah, and I
Um,
didn't expect it, put it that way, with such an eclectic mix of tunes.
Robert Smith said, "Trying to stay alive on the money." Yeah, it's tough to
Yeah.
just have as your sole source of income, playing in a band. It can be done. I did it for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So I mean, trying to stay alive. It's easy to stay alive. You
Yeah,
want to live and
you wanna try to thrive, not just survive,
thrive,
So I think what
not
he's
just
saying is it's
survive.
hard trying to survive just on a couple gigs.
Right.
Depends where he's from too. I mean, don't forget, Steve, it's
See, where is he from?
if
He's
he's
in
on.
Yucca Valley, California.
Yeah, so I don't know if how many nights a week he's playing.
That's true. Uh, Newland W. Burton II said, "Getting band members to be serious and practice." Yeah, you
Mm,
can't make it. You can't make somebody else learn something
right.
or practice. You can't make them do it. They have to be motivated on their own to do it. And you kind of know that after a while from working with somebody, whether they are that kind of person. Are they self-motivating,
Right.
or are they lazy and don't practice? All right, I'm not reading that.
And it'll reach a
James
point too, Steve, where if they're not practicing,
said,
they're not gonna be able to stay in the band.
James Murphy, "I had COVID over the summer, so this is a dumb thing to say." Um, anyway, John Romanelli said, "Schlepping gear."
Yeah.
Got a little Yiddish on us, but yeah, it's especially as we get older, it's a little, things seem to get heavier.
I always think when I'm loading in, Steve, I should have played harmonica.
Yeah, right. Well, harmonic, yeah. You have a little case and that's it.
Yeah,
And
you're
a
walking with a little
microphone maybe,
attaché and a mic stand. You're good.
right? Bridget said, trying to get the roadies to do what I tell them to do when I tell them to. Bridget, you should be thanking your lucky stars that you have roadies.
Unless she's just kidding.
She might be kidding. I don't know, but she didn't
Like,
put a little.
as you're loading your gear, damn roadies called in sick again tonight.
If she's kidding, she should have put a little winky face.
Yeah. Or maybe she's serious and the roadies are not listening to her.
Well, then get better roadies.
Or speak more nicely to them.
Yeah, be kinder.
Perhaps.
Pay your
Right.
roadies better.
Right.
Jim said holding it together. We can kind of all relate to that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just holding it together, man. Just living on planet Earth.
But remember, Steve, we were meant to be triumphant in our lives, okay? That's what's in our souls and our spirits. So when we
I
get
agree.
downtrodden and we're, all bummed out about things, we got to remember that, don't sell yourself short.
Agreed.
We're not meant to merely just exist here. We're meant to be successful and thrive and be happy and, dominate.
Right. Chris Helling said, dealing with venues who think they deserve the Rolling Stones playing there or something. They barely make ends meet selling booze to a handful of locals, but now they want to know if we can bring 45 of our own people.
Of
That's
course
not,
they want to know that.
yeah, and that's just not the right attitude. If you're going to be playing someplace, you have to do your own promoting, getting people there, and you can't rely on the venue to do it. Of course they should be promoting the gig. Of course they should advertise and blah blah blah, but not everybody does. And you it's your job. You're the one that's coming there. They're there all the time. You're only there once in a while. So for you to have an opinion of how they run their business, it's not the right way to look at it. It's mind your own business. Don't worry about them. And on the flip side, we love it. Edward Sparks said it, for me, it's a labor of love. Getting gigs and playing music is the easy part. Promotion and keeping our name out there is a daily job. But again, I love it. See, Edward Sparks. Those are the kind of.
He's got the spark right there, Eddie.
And not only did he do that, but he put a link into his page of his thing, which is called Sparks and McCoy, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Patrick Zifo said babysitting, and I'm not sure if he's referring to members of the band or actually people,
children at home so he can gig,
or yes, kids at home.
Yes.
Finding a good babysitter,
right?
Maybe is what he's saying, or babysitting.
I think he means babysitting the rest of his bandmates.
The rest of the band, okay. Song selection, we kind of covered that already. Mike Leonard said getting women to pay attention to the bass player. I've never had that problem.
Yeah. Me neither, because I'm not a bass player.
Right. Jeremy Rodriguez said I live and gig in Las Vegas. The biggest challenge for me is how different the sound is on each stage. Some are in ears only, ears with a wedge, just wedge. I play bass and I sing, so I'm always having to find the right combination in my amp monitor. I have it pretty much down, but that's tough to sing for him. Yeah, each venue is different. Each stage sound setup is different. Even if you're playing in the same venue night after night, it's different.
Yeah.
It's just the energy in the room.
But like you said, it's challenging just with the monitor situation, In ears one night, wedge the next. You're going to definitely play and sing differently when you have in ears in than you will if you're going through a wedge.
Right. Jim Hand said simply finding a working band. And again, that's probably, that where is he from? And I doubt this is this person's real name. Go feck yourself. It might be. Go feck yourself, Nasir. Says my health. And that was 3 minutes ago. So that's all the responses we have.
And that can be challenging, Steve, because if you don't have your health, you don't have much.
Right.
As you know, when you're knocked on your ass and you're sick or something's wrong with you, everything else ceases to have any priority, or your ability to do anything is hindered in such a way that, we always take it for granted, but you can't take your health for granted. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I did have quite an experience this year.
Yeah.
Jamie is in Wichita, Kansas, just checking in. What's up, Jamie? Thanks for showing up.
Nice car, Jamie. Like it.
Yeah. So, so challenging times come all the time when you're playing in a band. Challenging circumstances come all the time, but that's part of the deal. That's just
Part
part
of
of life.
life, man. Exactly.
Part of
See,
life.
look at that. Wisdom spoken. No truer than that.
Right. What
That's right.
what would be interesting about life if there were no challenges, right?
Correct. And if you really view challenges, they always make you better. They make you stronger. They make you change your perspective on things, because you have no choice but to do that, right? Because it's constant change, constant challenge, constant things that test you. And you can either choose to be annoyed and aggravated by them and respond in that way, or you can choose to be amused and say, maybe I can look at this a different way, or how can I change the situation? And if I can't change the situation, then maybe I need to change the situation for myself. If you're in a band and you're the only guy has any type of, dedication and motivation and ability, and you're the best guy in the band and no one else is showing an interest, you might want to move on,
You might.
instead of trying to get those bad news bears whipped into shape,
Hmm.
it just might not happen.
Yes. Do what's best for you, and embrace the challenges as they come.
Yes.
Expect them and embrace them, knowing that that is part of your growth, and that you're gonna come if you hit it head on and you don't back down to that challenge, you're going to come out the other side a stronger person, a bigger person, a better person, and a more learned person.
Going to make you better.
Yeah, I've had many over the last week just trying to do these reels thing. I had to find the right app on my phone. What are you laughing?
No, because you're right. It's like you got to do the reels, and you're like, oh, I got to find the app. I got to
Oh,
figure
the
this
app.
out.
I have to figure out. Yeah.
But again, if you look at it, you're like, oh man, I got to figure all this stuff out. No, you want to look at it and be like, this is going to be huge. I can't wait to do this. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yes.
Let's get started.
Yeah.
That attitude. I mean, listen, if you were asking me to do something, I'm like, oh, dude, I got to do this thing, and I've got to download a bunch of stuff and figure out how to get a thing together and set up a camera. Or if I'm like, dude, I got this idea, you're gonna love it. We're gonna get this app. I mean, that's the easy part, right? But we're gonna set up this thing, and we're gonna do skits, and we're gonna come up with creative content.
Right.
Like, I want to work with that guy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you're doing it by yourself, right? Do you want to work with the guy who's like this, or the guy who's like, yeah, let's do it?
Right.
Your
And
inner
I'm doing
dialogue, right?
Right, I'm doing it by myself, right? And I'm doing it by myself. So I've noticed all these challenges, and I've had to plow through. I mean, I've had many in the last week. So just doing that Michael Myers video, I hit so many obstacles trying to get done what I wanted to get done.
Yeah,
And
30 seconds. You probably spent like 5 hours on it.
Yeah, I mean, not 5 hours, but it was like 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
And the same thing with the rock and roll thing. I mean, I didn't sleep last night, and it wasn't because of that. It was because I'm having this nerve pain, whatever. But as I was not sleeping, I'm like,
you couldn't sleep because you needed to figure out the intro to rock and roll. So you got up out of your bed and figured it out, and then you made a reel about it. I like it.
I knew.
Motivation.
Yes, but it took a long time for me to get all that together. Like how to figure out how to put the track in there and how to line up the metronome with it and stuff,
put
and
all the
visually.
Yep.
Yeah. So that was so embrace your challenges, people. Blow past them. Don't give up ever, and know that you'll come out stronger on the other side. Coverbandcentral.com is where you can go sign up for a profile for you, your band, or both. It is free, and that is where everybody likes to hang out and do stuff. And we have a ton of content on there. And it's just growing bigger and bigger every day. Ed's in New York. Thanks for joining us, Ed. Coming in at the end of the show, but you can go back and watch the replay. All the replays are available, by the way, on YouTube. The link is in the description. Sign up, subscribe to the YouTube channel there. Just go to that YouTube channel and just click that link to subscribe, and then you'll get notified when we're live, and you'll be able to go back and see all the other old shows and all that cool stuff. There it is.
And remember, the greatness is within you. Unleash it.
Excellent. Well said. Thank you guys for watching. Hang out. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves, and we'll see you next week.
Central.